wanted to keep my word. I stated on yesterday that I could not cover both topics in one video. And so on yesterday, I spoke about the shift and the emergency. I'm not going to get into it on this video. If you want to know, you can go back and view yesterday's video. I think it's titled Emergencies in America and What God Said. I think that's what it's titled. And I mentioned housing. And so I want to come back and say exactly what it is that, you know, I stated that I would say as it pertains to housing. I know typically when I come on, I say that I'm not going to be long. I really am not going to be long. And the reason why I'm not going to be long is because this is something that's very important. And some of the people who may need to view this video may not have a lot of time. And so you don't have to listen. You don't have to listen. I'm sorry. You don't have to see me. You can just turn it on and do whatever it is that you're doing and get the message. So here's what I'm here to say that many of you need to be aware of. And even if you're not directly affected, you may know someone, right? Now, we don't know how it's going to take place and we don't know when it's going to take place. But black men in America and housing was something that needed to be discussed and needed to be addressed, right? And so I don't know if I'll be coming back with the piece as far as black men is concerned. I don't know how that will play out from here. I'll come if I'm told to, but right now we have to deal with housing because people will not have the housing that they need. And so here's the way that this works. I'm not going to try to pretend as if I understand everything, but here's what I do understand and know. I've heard the terms Section 8, the number 8, for those of you who may say, is she saying A, the alphabet, or 8, the number? 8, the number. But here's the way that I want to term it so nobody's confused and so I don't come pretending like I know everything about the whole situation, because I don't. I only know what I heard and what I needed to come and speak on. And that is simply housing assistance, okay, will be disrupted abruptly. Almost like no warning. Now, for those of you who would say, okay, well, you know, it was somewhat of a warning because there were some things spoken on and the judge, you know, stepped in and put a freeze. Okay, I get it. But hear me when I say abruptly. And what I mean by abruptly is if you're renting a house, let's just use a house for an example, and you do something that you're not supposed to do, okay? And then the landlord may put something on your door and say, okay, you have 30 days to move. Or the landlord may come and put something on your door and say, you have 2 days to move. And then they use a clause that say, hey, that was in the lease agreement where, you know, you may have not read it, but that fine print, you know, I could put you out abruptly if I wanted to. So I'm going to use that as an example. So that clause is there, okay, where they can abruptly put you out. And so I'm saying to you guys, I don't exactly know how. I just know it will be short notice. And the short notice, if we really just think about it, let's just be real. Let's just be real and not try to be, you know, super deep or try to be a certain way. Let's just be honest. If somebody comes and they say to you, you have 2 weeks to pay $100. Well, if you have $100, that's not abruptly to you because, okay, you got it. You don't have to figure anything out. But if you're a person who don't have the $100, then it is abruptly to you. So we can look at that thing from both sides of it, right? So it can be abruptly within a few days you have to make a move, or it can be abruptly where I don't have the time, even if you give me 30 days to come up with the money, because I don't have the resources for it. So what am I saying? I'm saying this. How are you preparing? Okay? If it's not you, how are you helping your family member to prepare? How are you helping your coworker to prepare? Okay? How are we preparing? Here's what I do know. Anybody who's receiving any type of housing assistance, right? They're not going to be able to figure out and maneuver and get to where they need to go and do what they need to do by themselves. They're going to need some help. So what am I here to offer, and what am I here to say? Okay? I'm here to say this. If you are really a friend, this is the reason why it's so important who you have selected to call your friend. May I tell you something that many people do not consider? Your friend is not your friend because y'all played together in elementary, first grade, and y'all continue to play together and hang out all through, and so it's been 30 plus years, it's been 40 plus years. Longevity does not equal loyalty. Longevity does not equal I'm going to be there for you. Longevity does not mean that, when there's a crisis, I'm going to step in and help you out. You've just been there, right? But how have you been there? So, you may have somebody that you became friends with as an adult, and you were not friends with them as a child, okay? And you can call on them and they're there. So it's not about how long they've been your friend, right? It's about whether or not they really, okay, define the meaning of a friend. And we haven't, for whatever the reason may be, we haven't had the right people that we call friend in our corner, because we've reached a time now in this hour where you're going to need a real friend, somebody helping you. And so I want to say, start preparing now. I'm going to say something that's really far-fetched, and somebody who would watch this that's not from the country and live in the city, they're going to say, oh my goodness, she's really country, what's going on? But I'm going to say it anyway because it'll help somebody. When you got your income tax, you probably should have purchased a mobile home that was inexpensive, that you can repair and fix up. Okay, so let's say you spent, let's say you got $6,000-7,000, but you spent $3,000 on the mobile home. Well, you couldn't spend the whole $7,000 on a better mobile home because you may have had to do some repairs on your car, or you may have had to catch up on some bills. But you secure the mobile home, and as time goes, you patch it up. Okay. There are simple things to do as flooring. I know how to do the simple flooring, but there are people who have side businesses or side hustles, and you get two of the floors done at a time. If the walls is out, you get the walls done. What am I saying? That's a plan. Even if you're laughing and you think it's comical as to what I've said, it's the truth. You're not outside. And there are parts of this mobile home that you can live in while the person comes as you get the money to fix up the other part. Because here's what I'm going to say that nobody's going to admit. But I'm just here to help, but I'm also here to keep it real. You're not the only one living in that home with that public assistance for that house to be paid. There are other adults in there, whether they're there illegally or whether they're there the right way. Okay? And they know what administration we have in. And why isn't it you guys haven't come up with a plan and sit down and come up with a strategy and say, hey, we're going to have to pull our resources together and we have to start working on the plan. Even if you're not where you need to be with the plan when things abruptly change, at least you're in the vein of it. At least you've started. So you can no longer live in the house with people who are working, or who receives a check, and y'all all just sitting down and benefiting off of this assistance that's going to leave. Come on, we have to come up with a plan. I'm not here to talk about you. I'm not here to judge you. First of all, I don't have that type of heart. And then second, how does it benefit me or you if I'm here to bash you and talk about you? I'm not here to bash you and talk about you, but I am saying, what's the plan? If you have a few people who are adults in the house, you guys are going to have to pull together. I can't even get my words out. My apologies. You guys are going to have to pull your resources together, okay, to come up with a plan as to what it is that you're going to do. The other thing that I wanted to say was this. Let's say, for instance, and I'm being so real, I'm trying to give practical strategies and practical information to help you guys. Let's say, for instance, you have become cool with the people who you live in your area, and it's 3 or 4 y'all, and everybody gets a voucher, okay, and you may get a little check, or this person may get a little child support check, so forth and so on. Well, with the 4 people, funds that they're receiving equals 1 amount of rent. Stay with me. This is a practical strategy. Well, if each one of them 4 people have about $300 or $400, well, that's about $1,200, right, between the 4 of those people. Okay, so between $1,200 to $1,500, the 3 or 4 people can pull together, which makes one place. So have you sat down and strategized? Let's say you don't have a family member to help you. So have you sat down and strategized with this person and said, hey, we're going to move in your place because the landlord will no longer be receiving vouchers, and then we'll have to pay rent. Well, all of us can't pay rent because we don't have the money. So we all going to pool together, and we're going to move in your housing, in your spot, and pay the landlord, or a completely new spot. Here's the thing, and I'm done. The video's over when I say this, okay? Do you see how that's a simple strategy that I just said? Now, to some of you who are watching and you don't have any issues with housing and you're good, you may think that that's the craziest thing that has ever been birthed out of my mouth. But it's not crazy to someone who is not able to go to sleep at night and is wondering where they're going to live once housing is pulled from them, because that's all they know. Okay, they've depended upon the government to help them, and it's going to be abruptly pulled. So that's just one strategy I shared. That's just one thing, one simple strategy that I shared. Who are you pulling together with to pull each of your resources that would afford you to be in one place and nobody on the streets? Nobody on the streets, okay? Even if the children or you are sleeping on an air mattress because it's a 1 or 2 bedroom, you're still not on the streets. Somebody who is a landlord is not going to have a problem if all of you guys are in the house, because guess what? They're going to be affected as well, because they're no longer going to receive the vouchers to allow you to stay in the homes. I pray that this helps someone in some way. I cannot just leave you guys without reading this into your hearing. I didn't think I had my glasses, y'all. Here's what I leave my people with who I came and talked to about housing. This video was not to make you fretful. This video was not to make you even more stressed than what you are, because many people are afraid of what's to come and how things are going to happen. And I want to let you know that God is no respecter of persons. He dropped that in my spirit and gave that to me, and that was one simple thing that makes sense, right? If you ask of him of a strategy and a plan to help you, he's going to do it. I'm applying those same principles in my life day to day. And I also thank God that I wasn't as emotional today as I was yesterday. Yesterday was a difficult day. I did manage to get through that video, but it was just so much that has taken place that I'm seeing, and it was just a bit overwhelming. So I thank God I was able to get through this video and provide this information, but I want you to be encouraged, okay? I want you to know that God is not going to forsake you, nor will he leave you, and he's not going to leave your children, okay? He is making a way out of no way, right? He is, but we have to do our part. How do we do our part? We have to do practical things, and we have to look at practical strategies, okay, how we're going to survive. We can't just sit back and let life happen. Okay, so what are we doing? If you've received income tax, you may need to go ahead and purchase 1 or 2 air mattresses. Why? Because you may have to downsize to a 1-bedroom apartment, or you may have to move in with someone, and your children are not sleeping on the floor. They have an air mattress, okay? This is going to help someone in some way. You do not have any money to take to the building just because you receive the income tax refund, okay? You don't have any money for that. If God blesses you and affords you to give a $2 or $3 offering, or even $5, okay? In some cases, you may not even have that. Charity starts at home. You have to take care of home. That's where we are, okay? You have to take care of home. Am I telling you not to give? No, I'm not telling you not to give. But I am telling you to not take your money to the building because it's not being allocated the way that it's supposed to be allocated to begin with. So if you see somebody needy who may need $2 or $3, give it to them, okay? That's a whole nother topic. I don't know how that came out my mouth. I wasn't supposed to say that, but it came out. So there it is. I'm not going to pause the video or try to delete or edit or upload another one. We rolling with this one. It came out, so we're going to go with it. I pray that that helps somebody. But let me read this into your hearing that you may be encouraged. And I know it's a familiar passage, but I'm going to read it. Psalms 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I'm talking to you. Hear me. I need you to be encouraged. Okay? This is enough of you going to bed at night crying, not telling anybody, and completely stressed over your housing. And then I would come and do this video. This video is confirmation that you are right. It is coming, but it's not for you to stress. There is help. There is hope. We have to strategize. God has promised, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. You shall not want. I'm reading this to you. Get it in your spirit. He maketh you to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth you beside the still waters. He restored your soul. He leadeth you in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you will fear no evil, for God is with you. Okay? Thy rod and thy staff will comfort you. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. He's doing that for you. He anointeth your head with oil. Your cup runneth over. Abundance, more than enough. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow you the days of your life, and you will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Receive that. Receive it. Be blessed. I speak and I ask and I come in agreement with you that your housing situation will be taken care of, and you will not, your children will not be left out and not have a place to sleep. Okay? You be blessed.